Hello, I'm Tom Morton. I'm from Kent County Council. I'm from the Road Safety Team. I'm going to be speaking to you this morning in this short video about checking your bike before you take it out on the road. It's quite clear to me that a lot of people are using their bikes for their daily exercise. Some of these bikes probably haven't seen the light of day for some considerable time and need to be checked before you go out on the road to make sure they're safe. We're going to be carrying out some very simple checks during this video, which will cover some of the basic safety requirements of a bicycle. You won't need any specialist tools for this, and you won't need any specialist training. One of the first things that I want you to check before you take the bike out on the road is the condition of the brakes. Now clearly, if you can't stop, then it's going to be a danger to you and to everybody else that's out there. Brakes are controlled by the levers that are on the handlebars. The one on the right hand side normally controls the front brake. The one on the left hand side normally controls the rear brake. All you need to do to check to make sure that the brakes are working correctly is simply hold the bike upright. Don't try and ride it at this stage, but hold the bike upright. Hold the right brake, which is the front one, pull it in towards the handlebar. Now the lever should come up close to the handlebar but not touching it. There should be a gap big enough for you to be able to put your hand between the lever and the bar once that is fully applied. Try and push the bike forward, see if it moves. If it doesn't move, then the brake is working correctly. Release the brake and make sure the bike still does move forward. Fine, works great if that's the case. Do exactly the same with the rear brake. Pull the lever in, make sure there's that gap between the lever and the handlebar that shows that it is applied but it's not touching the handlebar and resisting the actual movement of the brake lever. Do exactly the same thing again. Push the bike forward. If it doesn't move, then the brake is working correctly. As soon as you release that brake, you should be able to push the bike forward without any problem. If that's the case, brakes are fine, you don't need to do anything more with them. If they're not working, then clearly you're going to need to actually adjust them or get somebody else who knows what they're doing with the bike to adjust them for you. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing I want you to check is your tyres. Look at the tyres, make sure there's no cuts or bulges on them, that the tread is in good condition and that they're inflated. How are you going to tell whether they're fully inflated enough? Well, it's tricky without putting a tyre pressure gauge on them, which I'm sure most people probably won't have to hand. So a simple check would be just to put your hand on top of the tyre, push down as hard as you can using all your body weight and see if the tyre resists that actual pressure of your hand on top of it. Don't try pinching it because a lot of the tyres are quite wide and you probably find if you've got small hands like me, you're not going to be able to get your hand around the tyre very easily at all. Plus you can't apply as much pressure. Whatever you do, if your tyres need pumping up, please only use the conventional tyre pump. One similar to this is perfectly adequate. This one is quite a decent one that's got a tyre pressure gauge built into it, so it's quite a useful type of pump to use. Don't be tempted to go to your local garage and use the tyre pressure gauges on the garage forecourt. They will put far too much air into your tyre far too quickly and you could end up bursting your tyre, which indeed is certainly something that you don't want to do. Once you're confident that the tyres and the brakes are working correctly, the next thing I'd like you to check before you go out on the road is the steering. Very simple check of the steering. Stand astride the bike with your front wheel in between your legs. Clearly make sure the wheel is clean. You don't want to mess up the inside of your trousers with lots of mud and dirt. Hold the wheel still with your legs and try and turn the handlebars. If they resist movement, then everything that links the handlebars to the frame is probably connected correctly. If they do move, they slide from side to side, then there's something wrong with the linkages here. Now, the handlebars are connected to the frame with several other components. There's the stem and the steering, etc. And if any one of those comes loose, then it will allow the handlebars to turn independent to the front wheel, which is not what you want to happen when you're out on the road. You don't want to discover you've got that problem when you start riding the bike. Should you find that that is the case, then you're going to need to have your bike properly serviced and looked after by a professional. Now, obviously, during the lockdown, a lot of the bigger shops are shut and you're going to find it difficult to find a bike maintenance store that can actually help you with that. but there are one or two of the bigger brand names that are available for bike servicing. And if you're a key worker, they are prioritising the work on those people's bikes. So this may be a good time to actually get that checked before you go out on the road. Make sure your bike is safe. Don't enter out onto the road unless you're absolutely confident it is. Also, please, please, please wear a cycle helmet. We don't want to put the NHS in any more stress by injuring ourselves while we're out on the bike and just making more work for them. So whatever you do, stay safe and protect the NHS and look after yourself and everybody else around. Thank you very much for this. We will be doing some more videos later on which will be covering other aspects of bike safety as well, and I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you for now. Bye bye.